welcome back to We Love the State. I am your host, Andy Coons, and over here to my left, I finally pointed in the right direction the first try, is my co-host, Ben DeYoung. How you doing, Ben?
Doing good. It's been quite the week with everything going on in the news. It's nice to actually have an episode that's more local focused.
Yeah.
I know a lot of times people get lost into what's happening in DC or what's happening around the world. But today we've got some guests that are a local business that are really, head and shoulders above the rest of their competition.
Yeah.
And so really excited for the interview. It's definitely a topic I'm not super familiar with. And so I'll have a lot of questions for the guys and looking forward to learning.
Yeah. Yeah. We had Josh Wermer and Jesse, what was it, Jaytoft?
I think so.
It's a Polish name. Anyway, these guys, they not that it being Polish matters, but now you know. Anyway, so Josh and Jesse, they work at this vape shop called VapeIQ, and I've been going there for a while now, and it's a great place to go. And the last time that I was in there, I mean, I've had a couple of conversations with Josh and Jesse and the lady who owns the place, and they've been having a lot of problems with the FDA, and sort of these three, I don't know if you would call it a raid, but just these unscheduled visits for no reason. They've been completely compliant with the FDA. They've done everything that they're supposed to, but there's still this pressure from the government against them. They're a mom and pop shop. They make very high quality vape juice that's a lot safer than what you find in disposables. It's one of the probably safest smoking alternatives out there. And so whenever I was told about that, I was furious, and I was like, we got to have these guys on We Love the State. So it was a great conversation. I was very happy to get them on. So
without further ado,
yeah, sorry.
Here comes VapeIQ.
All right, yeah. Here's our guests, Josh Wermer and Jesse Jaytoft of VapeIQ in Battle Creek, Michigan. Enjoy. Josh Wermer, Jesse Jaytoft from VapeIQ. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you guys doing today?
Great. Thanks for having us, brother. I appreciate you, man.
Fantastic. Happy to be here.
Great. Well, like I said, tell your story. How did you guys get into the vape business?
Well, so our oldest brother, Chris Wermer, he was a smoker, and at the time,
we were all pretty much smokers.
We were, yeah. And at the time, vapes were not a thing. I mean, this is back in 2011, 2012, right around that era. And so vapes had not even really come about yet. They were the little blue, small cigarette style vapes. And so if you remember back in those days, they were highly not logical. I mean, they were super expensive. They were small. They were one-time use devices that did not last very long, kind of similar to where we are with the disposable game today. And so Chris was going through a lot of them and spending more money than, one would like. And so we started looking at something that was going to be more efficient, something more long-term, and, came across actual vapes that were refillable and rechargeable. At that time, they looked into, what's it going to take for us to be able to, maneuver from these single-use devices into something that was more refillable, rechargeable. Found a local company that was, I forget, what was the name of the company that was, I forget, but they were a local company, and this is, of course, before VapeIQ was a thing. He ended up purchasing one through them, began using the refillable, rechargeable devices. Of course, it was a better option.
Yeah, that might have been KVS back then.
Might have been. I forget, which exact company it was. And at the time, our brother's actually close friends with the owner of that shop as well. And so they were going to go into business. Things didn't work out there. And so he ended up taking his own path. And that's how BC Vaping Ape was born. And from there, I mean, we've helped thousands of people, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it literally started just like in a little box, you know, like a closet. We're just making little tiny bottles of, you know, 5 ml bottles of juice, you know, and just as people caught on, you know, the help it was giving them the transition, we just blew up from there, you know. We went from a tiny corner of rental to owning, you know, to renting one store to buying the entire building. And now we've been here for about 12 years.
Between, you know, Carrie, Tim, and Chris, they did a ton of research, you know, found the best ingredients, the most quality that they could put into it. And at first, like we talked about, it was just made, you know, to help him quit smoking. And then from there, it grew to, you know, us family members who also smoked and wanted to quit, and then to family, friends, and then to the community. And it's just been, you know, a kind of a growing effect, which has been really cool to see.
That was so the way that I got into vaping, because I started smoking cigarettes when I was like 13, you know, yeah. And it's like some of my friends, like they stole their mom's cigarettes, and I grew up out in the country, so we'd like go out into the country or out in the middle of nowhere and smoke a cigarette, you know. But started when I was 13.
Burned down a field because you lived in Kansas.
Well, totally unrelated story. But anyway, we whenever I was 25, I remember I used to get bronchitis every year, and when I was 25, I got it 4 times in a year, and that was like crazy. And I remember after that 4th time, because I smoked menthols, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. And that's whenever, and I don't remember what vape shop I went to, but I went and picked up like a pen vape, you know, or one of those very, very early ones that had a tank, and, you know, the coils are super tiny. Had one of those. And I've been vaping ever since. And now I have this like behemoth of a brick, you know, and, but yeah, it's the only thing I tried Chantix. I tried cold turkey. It's the only thing that got me off of cigarettes, you know. And even though I'm still getting that nicotine, it like, I can say the first year that I was vaping, I was just coughing stuff up out of my lungs, you know, and the quality of my breathing since I quit smoking cigarettes has skyrocketed, you know. So I mean, what are some of the success stories that you guys have seen throughout your 12 years of doing this?
I mean, you can even go personally with us too. I was a truck driver. I smoked 2 packs a day. It was the funnest thing I had to do, man. And it took me a minute to transition. You know, the government loves to say that we're the same thing as cigarettes. Vaping and cigarettes are 2 different beasts. Mm-hmm. I don't care what they say. It took me a long time to be able to transition over, but now I did. I'm 10 years on my vape, you know, so that's great. This guy, you were a smoker, right?
Yeah, I was about half pack to a pack a day. It was growing exponentially. So I started smoking like you when I was, you know, 13, 14 years old.
When it was super cool.
Yeah, I was the closet smoker though. So like I was that guy, like, you know, you'd be lighting a cigarette and you're like, you smoke? And I'm like, no. As soon as I got away, I'm lighting a cigarette. And you know, it was like, okay, first off, you know, I'm super OCD. So like the ashes, the smoke smell, the burn holes, you know, none of that really fit my category or, you know, who I was as a person. But then as I'm lying to people face to face, like, no, I don't smoke, as I'm lighting a cigarette, I'm like, that's just not who I am. And so it's like, you know, why am I doing this? And a buddy actually introduced me to vape at the time. And when, you know, I first started getting into it, I was like, wow, this is incredible. And like you said, it's been the only thing that's really helped me quit. And that's because we have an 800% success rate in comparison to, you know, chewing, you know, gums, patches, things like that, because we're smokers. And so as a smoker, you want that hand to mouth. You need that habitual habit where you're, you know, getting that satisfaction. And we can throw a patch on all day, I still want to smoke. I can chew gum all day, I still want to smoke. And, you know, with vaping, you still get the hand to mouth satisfaction. You're just cutting out all of the carcinogens and things that don't need to go into it. And so for instance, with, you know, e-juice, you have 3 ingredients. You got vegetable glycerin, nicotine, and flavoring. And from the studies that have been done in like the Royal Colleges where, you know, big tobacco doesn't control the narrative, they found that it's 96% safer than combustible tobacco, which is a huge difference from what the media spins on vapes in comparison to tobacco.
For sure, yeah. We got hundreds of success stories. I mean, that's one of our biggest missions here. We do what we call our regiment step-down program. And that's where we'll cut your nicotine levels down. We can do it in halves. We can do it in a full milligram at a time, or maybe you want to be a little bold and jump a couple milligram at a time. That's the biggest thing we pride ourselves on here. As community, we try to get people actually off of nicotine dependency as well.
Like you said, go ahead.
It's funny that you bring that up, because whenever I quit smoking, you guys remember Kalamazoo Vapor, right?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Okay, so they were still in business whenever I quit, and I went in there to, I went there for a couple years before they closed down. But that was something that I loved about them. I worked primarily in Kalamazoo, and I could go in there, and I remember whenever I first started, and actually that is where I got my first vape, was Kalamazoo Vapor. And I walked in, I was like, listen, I smoke a little over a pack a day, and I was like, I don't know what nicotine level I should be at. And they're like, we'll put you at the high one. And I was like, okay. Yeah. So they started me off at 24 milligrams, and it was a seamless, easy transition, and that's what I did with them. I worked my way down. I started at 24, and then went down to 22, and then 20 and 18, got all the way down to, I think it was like 10. And then that's when that bill in 2016, and I don't remember what it was called, but that bill that came through in 2016 that made all the companies have to send their flavors in to the FDA, that came through, and then Kalamazoo Vapor just vanished.
Yeah. Yeah, that bill was built to destroy. I mean, everything about it. So that bill, they want you to do testing as a major part. And that testing runs between 10,000 and 25,000 per SKU. With guys like us and Kalamazoo Vapor, where we're altering nicotine levels, we have to skew each different nicotine level. So per flavor, you're looking about $2 to $4 million of flavor, and that's just to get your name in the hat. That's not even guaranteed that you're going to pass through. And that's probably what happened to Kalamazoo Vapor. More than likely, I would assume they probably tried to get a couple of flavors in, and the government just kiboshed like they're doing everybody else.
And that's something that we kind of set apart with, because we are local just to Battle Creek. We don't have, a franchise or, other shops that are in other
KVS
areas.
started local, man.
They did,
they were good guys.
They branched out, and it's not a bad thing to branch out, but you lose that, community drive. You lose the people who started the business, right? And the people who have that heart for what they're doing. We don't ship. We literally know our customers, face to face. We know them by name. And some of the success stories, we've had 90-year-old men walk in and they got a pack of Cowboy Killers here, and they come in and they got their hat on, and I never thought I'd see the day I didn't have a pack of Cowboy Killers here. Or clients with COPD that quit smoking, switched to vaping, and then, like you said, start to feel the positive effects of being able to take a full breath of air, stop hacking up black tar in the morning, things like that. And when they go to their doctor, the doctor's like, look, whatever you're doing, keep doing it, because your lungs look fantastic. And it's just, you can feel the difference. You don't necessarily need to even have the doctor tell you when you wake up.
I really wish. So there's one of our customers who actually was a smoker, and she's quit now, and that's why we couldn't get a hold of her. I wanted to get a hold of her for this interview to get some of her information, but she come in and told us, she goes, my doctor thought I was never a cigarette smoker, and I told him I smoked for like 20 plus years. The thing is, she switched over to vaping, and after just a couple of years, the doctors couldn't even tell that they were a smoker at one point in time. So the success stories of vaping definitely outweigh what the government's trying to control. I don't understand what they're doing behind it, besides the fact of just simple destruction.
Do you think that law was kind of like Juul and some of those big names that were trying to like squash the small guys, or was it like Big Tobacco that was like, we don't want people quitting cigarettes? Or was it all of the above?
Not to even throw stones at people, but what I'll do is just throw out evidence. The only people approved right now in the vape game are people like Philip Morris. Only the Big Tobaccos are approved. None of us other guys, even like Juul and them guys, there's nothing out there approved for them guys. So, that to me, just using evidence, with all the vape out here, all the manufacturers out here, somehow they're the only ones approved. I don't know. It sings a bit of a song to me.
Regulations almost always, it's a Ponzi control scheme of like, we're going to eliminate competition, and because we want full control and the full market. So usually when the regulation comes out, it's like, well, all right, who's benefiting? And that's who's footing the bill.
And that's, it's a monopolization of a market that shouldn't be allowed to happen. I mean, you see, especially a good mom and pop shop like us that have been in business for 13 years, that have been a staple in the community with no issues, nothing but positive stories. And
what are we sitting at Google reviews? I mean, we got hundreds of Google reviews. We're like a 4.8. Usually we get in trouble if somebody wants to return something.
So let me add my own personal experience in there. All right. And
That'd be great.
I'm not trying to kiss your guys'
Blow
ass or
smoke.
anything.
Well, don't feel bad. Give us the business, man. If we need to critique something or make something better,
No.
we're in business to make you happy, so.
My personal experience of walking in there, I have never once walked into VapeIQ and not had a great experience. And I'm not trying to blow vape, Ben. But seriously, every time I walk, like when you walk into VapeIQ, first of all, it's not just a vape shop. It's like an ice cream shop. You can get popcorn there. Like you can buy merch. You can buy, I think, don't you guys have like rock candy and stuff like that? Like you guys have a little bit of, you guys have a little bit of everything. You go in there, there's this full huge menu on the back wall where every flavor imaginable, you can have that. And it's made right there when you order it. They're like, you want this? All right. Hey, go make this in the back. Like it's like a malt shop for nicotine addicts, like it's as a vapor, it's the best, like it's the best part of being somebody who vapes is going and being able to try out a new juice and work your way down. And like there's not a single person that works there that isn't absolutely delightful, excellent customer service. Like it's the best place to go, as far as I know, in the state.
I appreciate that, brother. I mean, that's what we aim for. You guys matter to us. Our community matters. We want you guys to come in, feel comfortable. Transitioning from conventional cigarettes to vaping, it's hard for people. So when you come in, we want you to feel welcome. We want you to feel good about yourself. We want you to feel like you're making the right decision. And we also want to make sure you're informed, man. It's important to us.
Comfortably, yeah. Our mission's simple, help adults quit smoking. We want to utilize that nicotine regimen step-down program to, meet you where you're at and then slowly be able to help you work down to where you want to be. We've helped so many people, achieve that dream of zero and then just completely dropping the habit and living, happy, healthy life. It's really cool to see because, you're taking that addiction that they once had and it's like, you completely change your life. Like we were talking about, smell bad, you feel better, you can breathe, all of a sudden you can run and do things with your kids again you haven't been able to do in 5 to 10 years. And then, shortly after that, you're completely off nicotine and you just don't have that habit anymore, which has been fantastic to be able to watch these, adults completely transition in that way of life. Super cool. I mean, we have customers that just stop in and say hello, hey guys, what's going on? Just want to check in, I haven't smoked in like a year and a half, but was thinking about you and just wanted to, say thank you for, all the help that you guys offered. And it's just been really, really cool, man.
But long story short, Andy, thank you for that review. That's what matters to us. That's exactly why we do what we do. Yes. That's exactly what matters is to make sure you feel good and you're feeling like you get what you need so you don't have to go back where you are. So I appreciate that, man. Those great words.
So I got a question kind of more like on the health side of things. And you, again, probably this is something you probably get on the regular in the shop. There are always these health risk concerns with vaping. I think probably a lot of them are they're either propaganda or concerns maybe with bad vapes. For me, I tried the Juuls for a while and I actually started having my hair fall out. So, can you talk a little bit about like what sets you apart maybe and or like what makes a bad vape?
So I don't want to slander nobody, just because I don't know exactly how they're manufactured. We have seen some studies come out on like some of the disposable vapes, the pre-mades like you're talking about with Juul. I'm not there when they process. I would hope they wouldn't do anything, bad, but you know how people are. It's all about the cash in the day for most of them. Them guys, though, I know there's a study recently come out about disposables, right, where they found just a crap ton of lead in them.
Yeah, the concentration of nickel and lead were off the charts. They said it was higher than anything that's previously been found in literature even. And so they actually thought that the instrument to test the lead was broken. That's how high the levels were. They're like, oh, this can't be right. This is broken. They replaced the machine, and indeed the levels were that high. I want to say it was the same as 19 packs of cigarettes for one disposable vape. And so to answer your question, that is what makes a difference is one being, American made, made here where there's FDA regulation, what kind of ingredients are going into it, but also, having devices that are refillable, rechargeable, that aren't made on a mass scale for pennies to the dollar.
Look, I gotta be honest with you, man. Some of the outside vendors, they put some things like that synthetic sweetener. That's not great for you, man. We try to avoid that too. What makes us really different, in my opinion, is the fact that we just stick to the basics. You got VG, PG. Obviously VG's vegetable glycerin, propylene glycol. VG-based nicotine, and then again PG-based flavoring, and that's it. We don't do any additives. We're not looking for any to make your shelf life 5 years. None of that. We stick straight to it. I mean, even with it though, you're still looking at a year shelf life because the nicotine will hold up. After about a year, it starts to break down, so it wouldn't really hurt you. You just wouldn't get any nicotine after that. But yeah, so I mean, sorry. Long story short, what sets us apart is we just stick to the basics. What we know is going to be the cleanest for you. I'm not going to say it's the healthiest thing in the world because we all know oxygen is what it is. But it's definitely about 95% safer than smoking conventional cigarettes.
One thing that I've always told people, because I get a lot of people who are like, well, vaping is every bit as dangerous as smoking cigarettes, and that's where I go like, well, okay, well let's compare what we know about cigarettes and what we know about vaping, because we don't have the history that we have with like combustible tobacco to know like all the risks. But like here's what we know for sure. There's 7,000 chemicals that are in cigarette tobacco that you're inhaling. And there's four in this. There's your PG, your VG, your flavoring, and your nicotine. That's it.
With the right manufacturer, yeah, there's only 4.
Well, and that's the other thing is I have people bring up the popcorn lung, and
that's funny. Yeah, I love that story.
Well, I always tell people, like, if you're buying juice, like, don't get it from a gas station. Like.
Do you know the story behind the popcorn lung?
So, what, to my knowledge, it's that the oil that is used for microwavable popcorn.
Yep.
Is used as a filler.
Butter,
yeah, it's used as a filler in some of the cheaper juices because it's a cheaper oil, or because it's it's cheaper. And inhaling that whenever it's vaporized can cause that popcorn lung.
Yeah. So it's diacetyl, man, and they come to the determination that diacetyl causes popcorn lung from a popcorn factory down in Ohio. Mm-hmm. I guess some of the workers were coming down with something, and they were figuring it out. And that's what they called it popcorn lung. And the one thing they were able to put together through process elimination was the synthetic butter, which was made from diacetyl, and that was a problem in the industry in the very beginning. As soon as that became a knowledge, though, that we all became aware of, everybody transitioned right out. I mean, even the flavor manufacturers transition away from diacetyl. If they do use diacetyl, they make sure you're very aware that, hey, you're purchasing something with diacetyl in it. So I would have to say, even across seas, I would assume that at this point, 95% of the industry should not be using any diacetyl in their juices.
And no one ever got popcorn lung from vaping.
Right. Yeah. I haven't seen a single case yet. Yeah. So that's a good point. That's, should have just went there.
Yeah, they were getting it from the popcorn factory because they were inhaling aerosol butter as they were making popcorn, which, I mean, you would probably wear some kind of hazmat material to, avoid contact with, but they didn't. And so those are the cases of popcorn lung. Never has it happened from vapes. And then you also, I'll just touch base on this. The media came out a few years back, and they were talking about people were dying from vaping, and vapes are killing people, and all this crazy stuff. And if
was that with the when they were trying to make the homemade marijuana vapes?
Yeah, the THC vapes.
So, yeah, it was vitamin E acetate, correct?
Oh, yep, I remember that.
Yeah, they blamed us all for it. It was all vaping, man.
God,
we don't even use vitamin E acetate in our liquids.
You vapors are gonna die, but in reality, it's teenage kids in like a basement over in Wisconsin that were mixing illegal THC oil, and they decided vitamin E acetate oil looks a lot like THC oil, so they're going to blend them because, as you said, it's a cheaper filler. Vitamin E does not break down. It's not water soluble. Therefore, their body could not break it down, and they put those ingredients into their lungs, and they started having major issues. Never was that from an authorized retailer or from a vapor store, anything that was actually purchased from the market. And that brings us to our concern of what the government is doing, right? And so if the government continues forward down the path of destruction that they're on, where we're going to end is shops like us, mom and pop shops, close down. What does that leave the consumer? It leaves the consumer with black market goods that are going to be made off, no FDA regulation, offsite in a basement somewhere without standards. There's no regulation, you know, and so that's what people are going to go back to.
Yeah, that's how it happens every time. Every
Yeah.
time they overregulate, we wind up with a black market. People get hurt. You know, nothing's made purely anymore.
Yeah.
That's the bad part with government overreach.
Oh yeah, preaching to the choir there. Well, so what are some of the what are some of the struggles that you guys are facing now?
Go ahead. I'll let you get in
Wow.
there.
Well, there's many. So, you know, for instance,
There's one big one. This is one big one. It's the government, bro.
Yeah.
That's the biggest problem right now.
There's such an overreach. I mean, we've had 3 FDA inspections in the past 19 months, and at every single one, there is absolutely no reconciliation of a prior. You know, it's like, this is our first visit. And it's like, no, you guys were just here. And they have no record of coming, no paperwork, even though we have all documentation to show them when they were here, why they were here, you know, all of the above. They just seemingly continue to show up, and it's almost borderline harassment, because it's like we're constantly dealing with something that we've already dealt with, and they're not giving clear, concise answers on what they'd like. I mean, it's very sporadic and not put together. And so,
Look, essentially what they did is they put together this assassin force, and they literally have no idea what they're doing. You can look these guys up and see their previous records. The recent one we had, and I won't mention his name because I'm just not that type of guy, but you know, we looked up his record. He'd reviewed 2 vape shops in his 5-year career. And I'm like, so this guy's in our shop. He has no idea what he's doing. We're like, hey, look, we just had 2 previous reviews not long ago. He's like, nah, I looked that up. That's never a thing. You never had a review. So we want to know about this pink dragon. I'm like, yeah, you're saying the same thing the other 2 guys said too. You know, and we'll actually show them the paperwork. And they're like, oh, well, that's strange. You know, sometimes we just have these third-party contractors come out. So not only do they have this group of assassins that don't know what they're doing, but they've also hired third-party contractors to come in and take a look at us too that also have no idea what they're doing.
And we physically show them the documentation showing that we're in compliance. And it's, you know, it's hard to understand why it keeps happening to somebody small and locally operated like us. But then you turn around and see that the illegal disposable vapes that are actually ENDS devices, which were made illegal back in August 2016.
You're right. I'll give some credit to disposable vapes too, because them guys, I got 2 high schoolers right now, and the high schools are riddled with disposable vapes because they're just so convenient, so easy to grab. And like we were talking about earlier with the lead in them, and you know, just the bad processing, the manufacturing behind it, that's a big problem too.
And so I've always hated disposables for multitudes of reasons. You know, I'm big on the environment and trying to, you know, preserve the earth. And when you know, throwing a battery away has never been a good option. And now we're doing it on a mass scale that no one's ever seen or even heard of. And they don't even sell these things in China, if that tells you something.
They're illegal in China, but they're manufactured only in 2 facilities in China.
And then they send them here, but they won't let their people use them because 1, it's so bad for their economy and for their environment. But 2, they know what goes into these things. I'm sure they did the studies long before because they know what ingredients they're using. They know that they're using a lead-based component wire when they go to build these things. So they knew, okay, we should not be using these. But China doesn't love us. They, in fact, hate us. And so they don't mind sending us these products, you know what I'm saying, because it's not their problem, right? And so that is a major concern, is environmental impact, 2, the high concentration of nicotine. And so these things are very deceitful and deceptive in the fact that they say 5% nicotine, which deceives people into believing that there's a low concentration. 5% seems like a very low number. I mean, 5% out of 100%, but it's by volume. And that's where the difference comes into play when you're looking at 50 milligrams.
If we had to make one, so this is a 100 ml bottle. If we had to make one, I mean, it's going to be 50% of the bottle is going to be pure nicotine.
Pure nicotine.
At that point, I mean, you're literally just attempting to addict people. That's all you're trying to do.
Yeah.
And that's like a 4 to 5 pack a day smoker, if not more. You know what I'm saying?
It's
like
ridiculous, yeah.
And they don't give you a choice. And that's the beautiful thing is, you know, it's like, well, do you want 50 or 50? Well, I'll take 50. And they don't give you an option. And so I hear people.
They do got the 3% out there now.
Like years later, because people started raising the problem.
My main concern though is you know, they use benzoic acid, which is also found in baby wipes. You know, that's their preservative. Their lead levels are off the charts. They're designed to addict people. You know, it's all just a money grab. So when it becomes about money and not about the person, that right there starts to concern me. So if it tells you anything, we don't just back up vape blindly. We do our research. If you're producing bad vape, of course, we're not on your side either. We're about the people. We're backing the people up, not the vape.
What do you guys think about, because there's a kind of the rage is now the pouches, the nicotine pouches. What's the pros and cons? What's similar? What's different when it comes to vaping versus pouches?
You want to jump on that one?
Sure. So, I mean, for the pouches, I think It's a better alternative than disposables for sure, because they're biodegradable. They don't have batteries inside them. You're looking at nicotine that's flavored. Now, we don't manufacture those, so I can't speak on them directly of what goes into them and, you know, the pros and cons, but I can say for sure it wouldn't work for me. I'm a smoker, right? And so like I could sit there, I could put a pouch in all day long. I am going to want to smoke or hit my vape. You know, that hand to mouth is really where what gives me satisfaction. And even if I'm doing a zero nicotine vape, as long as I can get that hand to mouth, I feel like I'm still kind of getting that habit, you know, which is nice.
The pouches aren't that. So far, I mean, the pouches are still kind of newer. We have been looking into them. I haven't seen anything that concerns me yet. So like if a customer's come to me and say, hey, you know, I'm a chewer, what do you think about using the pouches? I would say you definitely do your research, but from what I've seen so far, I haven't seen anything bad yet. That's not to say there's nothing bad in there. It's just, you know, what's been made available to me. I haven't seen anything of concern at the moment.
Airplanes, factory workers, things like that, though, to be able to get you through until you can get back to
I just had to use them. I had a surge in my vocal cords. I had a big polyp in my vocal cord, and I couldn't vape for like a whole week, and that just drove me nuts. So I used the pouches. I didn't have any drawbacks. It was a bit high on the nicotine. I got a little bit of head buzz, you know, so definitely quite a bit of nicotine in them bad boys, but no drawbacks from it, though, from the week I was on them.
Okay, so it just sounds like they're just different customer bases. So if you were a chewer, the pouch is going to be more for you versus if you're a smoker. Okay.
Yeah, because they're very similar to like the snoozes out there. I don't know if you've heard of them guys, but they come in a pouch form. Where the other nicotine, you know, that we got in the vape industry, they're supposed to be swallowable like the snoozes, disposable like the snoozes. So very, very similar.
So, my to bring up this bill that happened in 2016. I know we're kind of backtracking a little bit. This has always been my sort of tinfoil hat conspiracy theory about this whole thing. Because I remember watching this happen, you know, in our state. Back in 2015, you go back to 2015, there were hundreds of vape shops everywhere. You know, every town you went in, even a small town, had 2 or 3 vape shops. You know, and there was variety everywhere. You know, it was really witnessing a free market in real time, like in real life.
It was beautiful.
Yeah. And that bill happened, and the only vape shop I see anywhere is Wild Bill's. And I'm not trying to throw Wild Bill's under the bus, but they to me seem like the only ones who were able to afford to survive that bill. And I've always wondered if maybe some of these bigger franchise companies maybe had something to do with making sure that our senators or our governor or our Congress people voted to push this bill through. What do you guys think?
You know, I think you're on the right track. I would say take out the tinfoil hat, my brother. You know what I mean? But I know a couple people that work at Wild Bill's, so you know I don't want to trash them guys at all. But you're right. I mean, the conspiracy it seems a bit too close to reality.
Mm-hmm.
They do have their own brand of disposables out there, their own brand of juice. They don't seem to be getting tagged by the FDA for any issues, and they're everywhere. I mean, I just went up to a small town, Ionia, a smaller town. I was up there, and of course, they got a Wild Bill's there. You got them in Coldwater. They're 86 shops in Michigan, and not a single one's been shut down by the FDA.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, yeah, it's cahoots with, you know, big pharma, tobacco companies, and you know these, you know, Juul, all the bigger guys. But really, it boils down to the government and big tobacco.
What does it say? You got to pay to play, right? Is that
correct.
What it is?
And so, you know, if you look at Michigan's master settlement agreement with major tobacco companies, just for 2021, Michigan received $312 million as part of the ongoing settlement, and in 2020, we received $5.9 billion since the MSA was adopted. And so they're making money on this side of things, right? And so that's where it comes into play. Same thing with the weed industry in Michigan. It was no until it's like, well, wait, we can get 17% tax. Sure, we will happily open any weed store you want, wherever you want, and it's follow the money, right? And so,
but they, you know, over the tax law, they left them guys alone for the most part. You know, I mean, them guys have their own disposable vapes out there. They're good there. They're not obviously nicotine, but they're marijuana, you know, still a mind-altering drug.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if they wanted to hit us with a bit of a tax, yeah, we're going to be a little bit mad about it. But, at least we still have our industry. I don't want to go back to smoking cigarettes, man. That's where that's at. I don't want to do that.
Well, yeah, and you just look at, I don't think an industry should be able to be kiboshed because you're in bed with the government, right? And
Right.
so because the government's like, well, we owe, we have to pay big tobacco this money. We get a lot of funding from this, so we need to continue to sell cigarettes. It's like, so you're going to put the danger and health and safety of your people at risk to get the money from these companies is basically like, am I following this correctly?
Yeah.
And that's really what
they
it
throw
boils
up
down
smoke
to.
walls too. I mean, you look at like Stretching Gretchen there. Sorry, that's what I just call her. She's always, yeah, that one just kind of slipped out. My bad. But she's multiple times she's throwing up these bills about flavor bans, and we all know it's just smoke and mirrors, man. They're acting like they have a problem with the vape. The vape's unhealthy, but we all know it's not. I mean, she's been rejected on it a couple of times. She's even got one in the works again right now, I think for the third time.
Well, and they say it's because of kids. That's their whole. At first, it was popcorn lung, and then they debunked that and realized like no one's ever gotten popcorn lung from vaping, and it's crazy because they actually took that and ran it on the news. They did no research, no actual like evidence or looking into this. They just heard the words popcorn lung from vaping and then ran with it, put it all over the news. Then when they actually debunked it, everybody looked like a bunch of fools. It was like, okay, so like there's no reality to this, and it was like, okay, so then it was never spoke on again. Now you hear like every now and again somebody will bring up popcorn lung, but there's not really a whole lot behind it because they never continued with the story because there was no story there, right? And so that kind of leads us to where we are today. You don't see kids walking around with devices.
No, it's much harder to get. I mean, in our shop, you got to be 21. They've tried, Battle Creek's tried to sting us, I don't know, a couple of times. They make it about 3 steps in the door before they're sent right back out.
Yeah, we protect the kids seriously. I mean, I just had my first kid. He's got kiddos. We all have kids and come from a place of, wanting the youth to be educated about the vapes, but never to pick them up.
We're hoping to launch a program, man. I mean, it depends on what the government's going to do here. They've been in our shop. They've told us some scare stories that we might be receiving a letter to shut us down. Who knows?
Yeah, we launched a local education initiative called Just Say No to Dispos, kind of, modeled after the DARE, you know what I mean? To show these kids, hey, there's a better option. Don't go this route because
Dispos is the number one concern because it's the most accessible, right?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we're going to touch base on also just using nicotine in general. We don't touch base on no vapes because it's really not about the vape when it comes down to it. It's about the addiction.
Correct.
The addiction is the evil one in the process here, So we touch base mostly on addiction. And we all know at 50 milligrams, man, Dispos, they're going to have you addicted like that. It's going to be so hard to get off of them.
Yeah.
And they're all over in the schools. That's what the major concern is, is this is a problem. And this is where the government should be stepping in because they've been illegal since 2016. This goes back to why are they down our throats when we're doing everything correctly? We're FDA regulated. We're actually walking the path that we're supposed to walk. However, you start looking at, right around the corner, there's these, Breeze, the Geek Bars, and all these. Why aren't they going after these guys? Well, because they're not backed by a billion-dollar legal team, and so they're more focused on us because we're easy targets. You know what I mean?
The Dispos has gotten kind of out of control. I don't know if you heard
100%.
the background on them guys, but so they come in on a manifest from overseas, and they'll usually say things like flashlights and that, and they're everywhere. They're so far all over there that the United States is talking about assembling a task force team to try to bring them out.
The sickening thing to me is the way that they try to spin it to be a public health or a public service. You know what I'm saying? It's like this is the government.
Oh,
it's
I'm from the government. I'm here to help, right?
Yeah, the worst word you can hear. And it's like, that's really the craziest government overreach ever because you're talking about, well, this is going to be better for the kids. It's going to be better for public health. But in reality, they're choking out the businesses that are actually going to be better for the community and better for the public health. So it's like, where do you actually, draw from logic, statistics, and facts rather than, just running on absolute madness and propaganda that, nobody can find.
They're running on cash, man. They're running on green.
So they're running out of green, and that's their problem.
Well, so
money.
How were you guys able to survive the, post 2016 bill? Did that just mean that your costs went up and then you had to kind of, push that off to the consumers, so the prices just had to rise? Or
we're filing our PTMAs. We haven't. So what we did is we kind of didn't do what they wanted this testing done. It's just a ridiculous testing for 10 to 25,000 per SKU.
It's impossible.
Right, and we haven't done that. So we do file our PTMAs. So they're very aware of all of our ingredients in there, and we actually file the testing from all of our manufacturers. So like our VG supplier, our PG supplier, our flavor supplier, we'll file their testings in too. And so far, everything has been kosher up until probably the last year or so. They've really been breathing down our neck.
and there needed to be some regulation. I mean, back in the day, there was an insane, wild, wild west of people that were doing this. And
We've seen people, they were putting what, vodka in them, water, so I mean, I get some of the regulation just to help protect people, but this is just over regulation where we're at now.
We support reasonable regulation. We're not asking to be a free pass and just don't look at us, but what we need is smart, fair regulation that targets the real threat, which are going to be the disposables, not the businesses that are part of the solution that are actually working to, manage these daily problems that these people are going through. We've done nothing but educate, help, and be that staple in the community, and yet we are basically harassed. We are completely condemned by the government, and then they, I feel you shouldn't be able to just say things without having evidence and statistics to back it up. I mean, logically, right? And so
we got that constitutional rule, though. You know what I mean? So
the freedom of speech, that's great, but when you're the government, I mean, you shouldn't be able to spew things that are completely illogical and then have no holds bar to it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, at some point, there's got to be, defamation of character, because what they're saying is happening, and what we're doing is not happening. We've been here for 13 years. We've done nothing but help people. We've never had any complaints or issues as far as, the quality of our product. And we've helped thousands of people quit local in our community, including our family.
As much as we're upset about the government doing what they're doing, overreach, we are 100% compliant when they come through. They have us walk them through our process of manufacturing. So you got VapeIQ, that's just our retail. Our manufacturer is BC Vaping Ape. That's what's been around for the last 12, 13 years. They come through, they inspect both shops, our retail and our manufacturing. We'll take them right to our lab. We'll show them everything we do from the very beginning to the end, even when how we record our books. They don't really have an issue with how we do things. The issue comes down to we didn't pay them the money that they wanted.
Yeah.
That's what it always comes down to at the end of the day. Every single time. Exactly. Yep. That's exactly what it is.
The fight's
very mob tactics.
Yeah. You're correct, actually. And it's not just about, local Battle Creek in this shop. This is happening all over the United States. And it's
what happened to KVS, it happened to Hometown Vapor. I mean, there's just numerous companies that were good companies out there and as held standard.
Yeah, and as American adults, I feel we should have the choice and the option to be able to make our choices as, educated adults, and be able to choose which option we're going to take, rather than the government, communistically telling us what we're going to do, or making up these crazy laws that basically cut the little guys like us out. And there's just nothing you can do, because, how do you fight the government? I mean, that to me is sickening. And then the craziest part is they weaponize our tax-paying dollars against us, right? And so it's like, we pay taxes.
That's the sickest part of the whole thing.
And then they send these guys in with our tax-paying dollars to basically weaponize them against us. And it's like, dude, we have done nothing but good business. We've done nothing but, help people in our community, pay our taxes. Like he said, work with the enforcement when they do come through. We're very, very
I'm gonna let you continue to explain. The owner's right next door. I forgot. Yeah. She actually has the number of what it costs our taxpayers to have one of these people come into our shop. They have no idea what they're doing. So I'm gonna let him talk. I'll be right back. I'm gonna get that number for you.
Yeah, it's incredibly crazy, man. And it's really a fight for freedom. I mean, in reality of it, because what is going on right now, I don't think we've seen in many, many years, because it's something that's new, and it's an entire industry that they're quite literally trying to monopolize and curb, right? And I would understand if there was actual scientific evidence and logic to back why they're trying to make these choices, you know what I'm saying? But when they come out and they say, well, we need to do this because of kids, yet they allow these disposable vapes to be sold in every shop, and they've been illegal since 2016, is called ENDS device, enclosed nicotine deliverance system, yet they're not attacking those. They allow those to be on the market, right? And let's talk about, you guys grew up in the boonies, right? So we all spent, I'm sure, a night or two in a cornfield somewhere dying off blue raspberry vodka, yet there's nobody having a conversation about that. Nobody talks about, the other flavored products. I mean, we have a dispensary across the street there. I guarantee if you walk in there, there's going to be blue raspberry flavored cartridges. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But we're not talking about that. They're only talking about this because it's a money grab. We're not getting the big money that we should be getting from selling more cigarettes. Because you think about, I mean, just the people I know, majority of them have quit smoking and started vaping, right? And so you look at the amount of cash flow that is now being lost to the state because of that. It's going to generate a problem. And when these people start to lose money, they start to come up with laws and things that they can put into place to kind of recuperate that money. And I think that's what we see with the regulation. I think that's what we see with them squeezing the little guy out, is trying to become, the one and only company and have entire control of the market, because at that point, you're bringing all the cash. Rather they're buying cigarettes or rather they're vaping, it doesn't matter. You're getting the money. And really, that in my opinion, is the craziest government overreach, because this is what America was built on, is the American dream, the ability to open a family-owned and operated business and to be able to support your dream and raise your children in America, you know, based on the business that you built. But they're cutting our ability out around that. You know, they're literally cutting that dream away from us because of the industry that we've chosen, though it's only to help people, and they have no statistics or logic saying that we've done anything different.
I don't see they're cutting my dream. I feel like they're attacking my health, in all honesty.
100, well, yeah, and our freedom.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah, they're attacking our health, they're attacking our freedom, they're trying to take away our ability to have options.
Yeah, when I look at what they're doing, it just makes you feel like they want big pharma to succeed here. They want big tobacco. You know, I mean, it's almost like they want us to be sick. Think about how many Americans are sick compared to other countries right now.
It's insane, dude.
Oh, we could go down some real Alex Jonesy types rabbit holes right now if we're going in that direction. But so Josh, if I overheard you correctly, did you say it costs $30,000 to send somebody in your front door?
I actually left my mic on. Sorry about that. But yeah, so it's around $30,000. It's estimated around $30,000 to have just one of these visits come by. And these guys have the right to stay for days, weeks, hours, however they want to, you know, and this is all on our dime.
Yep. We pay them $30,000. We put them up in the hotel. We give them the rental car, and we do all that for them to come here. And I mean, they harass us 3 times within the 19 months, dude. That's just absolutely insane. When we're fitting the bill, that's $90,000.
I will say the guys are kind of polite, you know. So, but
I mean, I'd be polite if I was making that much money too.
yeah, for one visit, right? Yeah,
I'd be a pretty happy camper.
You know, for $30,000 though, you couldn't get me to sell out the vape industry though. I believe in it too much. It's helped me so much. So it's going to take a lot more than $30,000 to get me to sell out.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, I used to. So at 19 years old, when I was smoking a pack a day, I lived in an apartment, 3rd story up, of course, horrible idea. But as I'm trying to carry my groceries up the 3 flights of stairs, I quite literally could not breathe when I got to the top stair. Mm-hmm. I would have, at 19 years old, have to set my groceries down on the floor, take a seat, and breathe for a moment.
He's not lying. I know he looks super fit, but I've seen it. I'm like, you're breathing harder than me, and I'm a fat boy. You know, I'm like,
it was horrible. And I started thinking, like, this is not okay. And I remember being in school when I was still a smoker, and my 65-year-old, you know, coach would just kind of jog past me as I'm on the floor dying, and he's like, "You got to quit smoking, Jesse." And I'm like, "You don't know me, you know." But
he was the best.
He did know me. He knew that I was smoking because he was, you know, 40 years older than me and could run circles around me, no problem. And then when I began to vape, I mean, dude, don't get me wrong, I'm still not, you know, in shape. I can't run miles or anything, but I can walk up 3 flights of stairs, and I'm not even kind of beginning to get winded. I feel great. I don't wake up. I'm not coughing or hacking anything up. I mean, it's dramatically changed the health in my life. I can actually get on a treadmill now and run a half mile. And I mean, I'm still, you know, out of breath, but I'm not dying. I'm not wheezing and gasping for air like I would have been. So, I mean,
but remember, you're poisoning yourself.
And it blows my mind how, you know, they just spew. That's where I'm at. You know, where's the logic behind this? I mean, the studies that have been done just show that it's 95, 96% safer than combustible tobacco. So it's like, why aren't we going off of the logic and the science that has been done and walking that path? But instead we're walking this crazy path of whatever the government says.
And it's 95% versus, you know, conventional cigarettes, you know, so we never tell a customer, hey, this is healthy for you. We all know the healthy thing to do is just breathe regular air.
Yeah.
You know, so if you can quit, that's our mission too. That's why we do that regimen step down program is what we call it here. And we work with you one-on-one. That's why we want you to feel like family, so you're comfortable talking to us. And we'll try to get you to that zero. I know people are like, well, how can you do that? How can you afford to stay in business? There's so many smokers out there.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we can keep helping people, and we don't drive fancy cars. We don't have fancy homes.
We're not for the money.
Right. We have side jobs. You know, everybody here has side jobs because that's what we use to pay our bills. This place is for the community. That's what matters.
That's cool. Well, so let me ask you this. How many other vape shops are you aware of in the country that do what you guys do?
Look, I'm gonna be honest with you. 0. I don't know of any right now. I hope there is still more out there for sure, because it's super helpful for people, but I have not heard of any. We used to connect.
I travel a lot.
Yeah.
From California, Florida. I mean, I'm all over the place. I love to travel. That's personally where I find joy. And when I'm on vacation, I make it a point to stop in and kind of see, you know, what's going on locally in the other states.
What was the story about Miami you were just telling me when you were there?
Oh my God, it was a nightmare. So I missed my flight, and as you can imagine, my vape did not. So my bags and luggage made the plane, and here I am stuck in Miami with nothing. And so, being from Michigan, I'm like, oh, you know, I'll be fine for a day. You know, I fly out tomorrow at 6 a.m. I'll be okay. And so, you know, I stop in at a local store thinking I'm going to find, you know, some local products. absolutely nothing but disposable vapes, 60/40 e-juice. I don't even know what kind of device you'd put that in. It would literally not function in anything that I can think of. And
Maybe the ones back in the day,
not even an MCT3, dude. You're going to leak like crazy. Like, there's just no reason why you would go 60/40. And so anyway, I'm there and I'm asking the guy, you don't have anything. And he says, no, we quit using that. We've pretty much gone to, just the disposable vapes. And that was such a sad sight for me, because it's like these people lost their ability for choice. They lost, all of their local manufacturers and any local people that were in the game that were knowledgeable. Now they're just selling these Chinese-made disposables, hoping for the best.
That shows the biggest problem, though. So anybody who's looking to get out with cigarettes and onto vaping now, who don't have someone like VapeIQ available in their area, they don't know any better.
No.
They go over in here, they don't get the education they need, and it's nothing against these other people. They don't know any better because the industry doesn't allow it to happen anymore. But they're getting uneducated. They're not getting top quality product. They're not getting what they need to actually transition, get off, and get away from it.
Why should this option be taken away from people?
Mm-hmm.
That's the big question. Why can I only go this route, and why are you trying to get rid of this route? And it makes no sense. There's no logic behind it. If they actually had science or statistics to back it, but they can't, because all of it points that this is a better option, a healthier alternative, and the better route to go. Because I pull my batteries out and I charge them at night. I put them back in and I can continue to use this device. This is a 2-year-old device that continues to run tried and true. All day battery life. This thing's water resistant, shock resistant, dust resistant. They're built to last. So when you look at getting something like this, I'm not going to go out and buy another one of these every couple of months or every year even. This is something that I can keep in my hand and continue to run, which eliminates, all of the trash and, the e-waste buildup that's going to come from disposal.
Depending on your manufacturer. Some of the manufacturers out there don't quality control very well, but we try to weed them guys out. We don't want you wasting money.
Yeah.
Well, if I could try to sell our listeners on VapeIQ, listen, if you smoke cigarettes and if you would like to not smell like crap anymore, drive to Battle Creek, go to VapeIQ, check them out. It's a place that the list of reasons that I like that place has never gotten shorter. It's only gotten longer. You get great service there. The product is fantastic. You have very, very knowledgeable people who work there. And this is a local business who's in the middle of a war perpetrated by our government against breathing, against better breathing, the war against better breathing. That's what I'm calling this episode, Ben. But I mean, if there's ever a small business to support, it's this one, because in this industry, I think you guys are really leading the charge in a way that honestly, I don't think anybody else is. So what I want to know is what can people do to help you guys, to support you guys, and to help protect you guys? What can be done to help you?
Well, I would say reach out to your local politicians, your governor, your senators,
state representatives,
and kind of, let your voice be heard. This shouldn't be an option that's taken away from us just because they have the power to, and they feel like, this needs to happen so they can have more money in their pocket. This needs to be a conversation that's had through statistics, logic, and science, and all the statistics and logics point to this being a healthier alternative. And if that's going to be the case, then why should it be an option that's removed from the American public to be able to choose? So reach out to your state representatives, allow your voice to be heard. And, I guess another big thing you could do is kick the disposables. One thing that those are doing is those are, filling pockets in China. Those things are also hurting our environment, and they're hurting your pocketbook every time you have to buy one, So that's another thing that you could do is shop local and support local.
Also,
CASA is great. Yep, great.
They're huge advocates for the vape industry. They've raised money to help vape shops hire attorneys to fight. They're always advocating for us.
Well, how's that spelled?
Yeah,
it's CASAA.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Great company, but yeah, just support local. Make sure to do the research. Spread the word as much as you can. If you see somebody, smoking cigarettes, definitely, just let them know, hey, there are better alternatives. There are other options that are available. And if you see somebody using a disposable, I would just, use that opportunity to try to educate them, or at least ask them to take a look at them and, do some educating on themselves, because there's a lot, and they're just now beginning to see how bad those things are as they begin to take a look at them. I'd hate to, have people be a part of like the, 10 years from now, if you were a loved one, come into contact with this, you may have mesothelioma or something crazy.
Yeah.
So just, get ahead of the curve, make sure you're knowledgeable, know the product that you're using.
And we also have a Facebook group too.
8 Vapors.
Yeah,
Yes.
8 Vapors on Facebook. We use that. It's a private group, so you obviously got to apply to get in. But we will post like pre-written messages to make it easy for you when there is something big going on. You can literally just click the link, fill out your personal information. It's usually like a name and a phone number, and saying that that you agree with what we're saying here, and then we send it right to your representative.
You guys think about franchising at all? Because it sounds like you do provide so much more than just your mom and pop vape shop.
Right.
We have. We would love to. The problem is that personal touch.
In the government.
Yeah, the government makes it super hard, but also the personal touch we provide for our customers, it's hard to train that. Like the reason why we are the way we are is because we're all of us together just so passionate about it. If we could find more people that are that passionate, we probably could. But then again, like he said, the government probably step in and say, "Don't do that."
So, well, just to wrap things up, Josh and Jesse, I appreciate so much you guys coming on here and talking about this. I want to try to get in there sometime in the next couple of weeks and make some TikTok content with you guys. I've got a fairly decent following there, and I think we could help get the message out that way too.
Sure.
Anyway, to the viewers, to the listeners, there might be some choppy edits there. Had our audio issue again. I have no idea what it is, to be honest with you. But anyway, we were talking about Ben being nicotine free. We're celebrating that.
Yes, sir.
So anyway, again, thank you all so much for joining us. For the listeners, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Like this, subscribe to it, do all the good stuff. So, Jesse, Josh, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Ben. Thanks for giving us a voice. We appreciate you, man.
Yeah. All right. That was our interview with Josh Wermer and Jesse Jaytoft of VapeIQ in Battle Creek, Michigan. Excellent company. You should support them. Hope you enjoyed that conversation. I thought it was really intriguing. I've been vaping for a long time, and I learned a lot of stuff after talking with them.
And if you want to know more, I did just a quick search for VapeIQ Battle Creek, Michigan. Their website popped right up, and on their website has links to all of their socials as well.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely give them a follow.
What is their website?
I think it was just vapeiq.com. Let me pull it back up. It is MYIQSTEP. MyIQstep.com.
All right, myIQstep.com. Yeah, go to myIQstep.com. We'll put that link in the show notes. Yeah, go support them. If you're a smoker, stop smoking. Switch to vaping. It's a lot safer. It's a lot better for you. But don't get a dispo. Get freaking. This is the Mack truck of e-cigarettes. I hate calling them that.
Well, and if you're like me who wants to start again, that's definitely the place I'm going to have to check out.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah. Hopefully you enjoyed that. I had a great time with it. If you want to catch me on TikTok, you can find me at Andy Coons. That is KOONS. If you want to find me on X, where I need followers, people, it is at Andy_Coons, KOONS. Got some exciting things in the works. Working on a new album for Monopoly on Violence. And I also like broke ground on working on a book. It's I'm not going to give anything away just yet, but I started work on outlining a book, and it's fiction. I don't know. I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be a killer story.
Just a little bit back and forth that we've had about it.
Yeah.
It's right up my alley, and it's something that, ironically enough, I've been doing a deep dive in, not even realizing that you've been researching the same topic for a book.
Yeah.
So it's pretty crazy the fact that we're that like-minded.
So it's, I'll just say it. It's a book about how the Jews are from the moon, and space Jews. Anyway, no, not really, but I think it's going to be a really good, really compelling story, and I can't wait to read it. I think I'm going to have to publish it individually because I don't think traditional publishers are going to be cool publishing a book from somebody who just said space Jews.
Thankfully, self-publishing is out there. I mean, yeah. I think Michael Malice has self-published the last couple of his books.
Yeah. So hopefully my TikTok audience will help, spread that, because I really do think it's going to be a great story. But anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for watching. Like, share, subscribe, do all the things. Find us on socials. Oh, Ben, where can they find you?
So for me, both Instagram and X are probably the two platforms that I post most to. Both my handle is Picture This 1979. So take a look at either one. Obviously, Instagram's more for my photography work, hence my backdrop. And X is definitely more on the political side of things. So if you want to learn more about Space Jews, check me out on X. If you want to see fireworks, check out my Instagram.
Oh, man. Yeah. Man, I cannot wait to learn more about those space Jews. Anyway, yeah, thank you so much for tuning in. Like, share, subscribe, do all the things. Check out our Facebook page, We Love the State. We need to get more people there, too. So, anyway, I'm your host, Andy Coons. That's my host, Ben DeYoung. Thank you so much.